Good morning on Monday, December 11th. It's episode 330 of the 359 podcast. I'm BVG, and your hosts today are Alfred and Ben Fox Rubin.
Hello.
What up?
This is our last full live week of the podcast for the year, but we'll try to get some nice evergreen shows up for you in the interim until we come back for the CES timeframe. But we have a very nice story for you today, or a very nice podcast. We're going to be talking all about Apple. Our very own Shara Tibkin did a story just looking at what to expect from Apple in the new year in 2018. So we'll run through a bunch of those. And anything else you want to say?
Nope, I'm just here to talk about Apple.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Anyway, let's get to the podcast. Send in your questions and comments. BVG will get to as many as he can at the end of the show. And let's start the podcast off.
All right, thanks for joining us, everyone. We're going to get 4 minutes worth of recorded headlines that are actually worth your time, and then you might want to leave. So, no, just kidding. After that, hang out in the chat. We'll take questions and comments. We'll be starting in 3, 2...
Welcome to the 359. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Alfred.
Our Apple beat reporter Shara Tibkin published a story today that looked at what we might expect from the tech heavyweight in the new year. Let's start off with the iPhone. She mentions that there are early rumors that there are going to be three, count them, three different versions of the iPhone 10 and a new iPhone SE next year, with Apple expanding its phone lineup even more. Does this mean there are like way too many phones now?
I completely welcome it. I think that, more companies should be going with that model. I know Samsung definitely does it with their
they
Galaxy
absolutely do.
S8, and then, Google hasn't really followed that yet when they have, just the Pixel and then the Pixel XL, but I completely welcome it. I actually really like the iPhone SE. I do hope they continue to make like smaller models. I do hope that they don't go like too much with like iPhone 10 Extreme 5 or whatever, where it's got like a
iPhone 10 Active.
Yeah, something like
Samsung
that. Yeah,
does.
Samsung does that. I don't think there's ever such a thing as too many products, especially when it comes to Apple, because they're not like Android devices where all the updates are fragmented. I have a relatively old iPhone, and it still gets like the latest updates, which is like not Android's motif at all.
Okay, maybe I'm approaching this from too philosophical a perspective, but the original iPhone, something cool about it was that if you were willing to pay the money for it, you could be an athlete or a movie star or just some regular kid like me. You've all got the same iPhone. I mean, something is lost when you have something like the SE or some of the cheaper phones that are like $350, and then other people that can afford it and want to pay for it can pay over $1,000 or well over $1,000 for the iPhone 10.
I'm sorry, I've never felt a unity with other people because we have the same phones.
I guess that's a good point. You don't like pull out the iPhone and say like, "Hey, we're both iPhone people."
That's how I met my wife.
Also, 2018 could be a big year for Siri. Apple's HomePod smart speaker is slated to come out next year after it was delayed, of course, with Siri hopefully becoming a more capable voice assistant in the device. The problem is with Siri is that it's still not that good, so we'll see if that actually happens.
You've been following this extensively too, because you cover Amazon with their Echo, so I think you know a thing or two about artificial intelligence and
voice
assistants. I mean, I don't really know what to expect. I've been covering from the privacy aspect, and I will say it is definitely the most like private you can get as far as like smart speakers
absolutely.
goes.
Yeah, they don't take your information the same way Amazon and Google do. The problem there, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is that a lot of that data that Amazon and Google do take, they use to improve their voice assistants and their smart speakers. So if Apple isn't doing that, you gain something on the privacy end, but it's possible that Siri
we're gonna have to see what
lessened.
people prefer then, when it comes to market next year.
Yeah. Next up, augmented reality. Apple is rumored to be working on AR goggles, and CEO Tim Cook keeps talking up the huge potential of AR. Alfred, would you wear Apple AR goggles?
I mean, I've been known to wear a spectacle or two, so I might wear the AR goggles. I don't think my phone would be capable of handling. Like, I'd have to probably get a new phone to use them. And I don't. To me, that's not worth it. I will say that AR with the iPhone 10 and like future lines in 2018 is probably the thing that I'm excited about the most for Apple. I think that augmented reality is probably where they're going to be doing a lot of their bigger developments. I think there's only so much you can do as far as like developing hardware
Mm-hmm.
per se, and I think with augmented reality, it's gonna be a whole like new playing field for them.
Yeah, well, I'm still skeptical whether people are going to want to have this on their face at all times with the goggles, but we'll see what the potential
I mean,
is
even
for
without
that.
the goggles, just pulling your phone out. Like,
Oh yeah, and we're seeing some of that already with
Yeah.
iOS 11. With the little time we have left, last is a touchscreen Mac coming. This is something that a lot of people have been hoping for years. Maybe 2018 will be the year it happens.
I don't think it's gonna come only because it'll cannibalize from their iPad Pro lineup, but they've been known to cannibalize from themselves. I'm all over 2017 when you see the iPhone 8 Plus and then the iPhone 10. So there's a possibility you could have some like MacBook X with the touchscreen and then also the iPad Pro.
Yeah, I don't see it coming. If they were going to do it, they probably would have done it by now. But Tim Cook, if you're listening, why don't you just update the MacBook Air? That's what I really want you
Also,
to do.
join us on the podcast, Timmy.
If you want to read more about these stories, check us out on CNET. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Alfred.
Thanks for listening.
Trying to think of like a clever new name for the iPhone 11 dash beta slash.
iPhone X2. It's so good.
Will they do that?
That's
No,
Final
they're
Fantasy,
not.
dude.
They're
That's
not
Final
because
Fantasy 10 too.
It's
No, it's X-Men United.
Is it X2 there?
X2
Also?
X-Men United.
Okay, what other X2s are there?
They're-
Mega Man
like,
X2.
You guys came up with 3 already. I'm very impressed. But I don't think they're going to do that because they call it the iPhone 10. They don't call it the iPhone X.
They should.
I don't know. Whatever. I repeatedly called it the iPhone X until I was shamed on, I don't know, Twitter and by other tech elite.
I'm not a
It's
tech
supposed to be
elite, man.
iPhone 10. Whatever. Either way, got through a lot in 4 minutes. Or actually, I don't know,
A
5
little longer
minutes.
than 4
It was
minutes.
a little longer than 4 minutes. Sorry, I started the timer a little late this time. So
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have any questions, or we can talk amongst
I'm
ourselves?
just starting to dig through the questions and comments. There's a lot piling in, so I'm going to try to dig out some good stuff to spark conversation in the meantime. I don't know. What are you guys doing?
Well,
Did
we
I
didn't
overplay
really...
the AR thing too much? I feel like, because I mean that's what
Wow,
I'm
you
excited
did-
about the most.
That's
but
a quick turnaround for you.
No, I'm like personally excited about AR the most, but I wonder if like other people feel the same way. Like
There's a lot of potential with AR, but I don't disagree that to kind of revisit that.
I just think because like I'm not excited about anything else. Like obviously there's going to be upgrades where it's faster, better camera, better security, all this stuff. But like to me, that AR is probably the biggest place that's like kind of like unexplored. I mean, you know what I mean?
I agree. I think AR and VR are definitely like those mega trends, like among many.
I
that
didn't say
people
VR.
expect.
I don't care about VR like at all.
Yeah, but
I think
AR
VR is useless.
But they work in
work,
unison, and there's also like the mixed reality where you could do like something between AR and VR where you flip between the two. But either way, it's like between AR and VR, drones, self-driving cars, automation. There are a variety of mega trends, and like as far as like consumer electronics are concerned, that is definitely a big
but
one.
when all the things that you're talking about, I'm definitely excited about like self-driving cars and all that stuff. But it's not like Apple's doing that, or at least that we know of.
They don't do it anymore. I think they looked into it.
Yeah.
They kicked the tires and then decided to walk away from that.
Yeah.
Did you just see that awesome pun I just made?
Kick the tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Just in case our audience didn't hear it.
Right. But I think that there is a lot of hype around AR, and what we're seeing so far is just like being able to like put your furniture around.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's been talking about.
Yeah, and that's like
Scott
very
put
helpful.
Tyrannosauruses in the subway.
Sure.
Yeah, Scott showed me Scott Stein, our reporter, our reviews
a
team.
reviewer, yeah.
Our reviewer for the iPhone 10 and other products on CNET.com.
well
Yeah,
done.
he showed me some photos of like some stuff that he put in AR like around the office, and at first I thought like it looked very real. Like
It's good. I just wonder if it's like world changing. So
it's not world changing, but it's like it's still cool.
sure. I think Google Glass definitely shows that there's significant hurdles to putting a wearable on your face all the time. So if Apple is legitimately working on AR goggles, it has to have so much more potential and value as to actually convince you that this is something that you want to wear, I don't know, even for like an hour during the day. It might have much more potential for somebody for a specialty field, whether it's like surgery, manufacturing, what have you, as opposed to like walking around on the street in an AR world. Like I don't, I'm wondering if that actually is going to happen.
Imagine Sagi in the chat says AR goggles will be a niche product. It will fall the wayside, just like 3D glasses for the television.
Thank you very much, Imagine Sagi. Always
I definitely
very smart
agree.
commentary.
Yeah, people don't want to have like physical accessories to get a feature on something that they use. The man said as he talked into a microphone wearing headphones.
There's also like, there was chatter. I remember when I was at the Wall Street Journal, so this was a couple of years ago, Google looking into like, what was it? Was it AR contact lenses? I have to look it up. That Google was looking into some sort of contact lenses. It was either, you know, for medical purposes or augmented reality. It's the same kind of concept, I would say, that like putting a wearable on your face or as a contact lens. It's like, is it such an important feature that you need it all the time?
I do not want a computer in my eye. I have terrible nightmares about that scene from Minority Report where like the machine or the man has to come and take my eye out because that's where the computer is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not against eye transplants.
Any situation
Because I have
where
terrible vision, but I don't need it to have
any
computers.
situation where I have to carry less stuff, the better for me, to be honest. I like, give me my pockets back.
Yeah, definitely.
What the hell are you talking about? Where does this go?
He's like flip-flopping. Now he loves
What are you talking about?
AR goggles.
Those aren't contact lenses, aren't goggles, and like
Okay.
the AR goggles would just be for AR. Which is another thing that I'd have to carry. So if you think about it, that's
Do you know how like it's so hard to focus in the world already? If I'm talking to Brian and I can see like what his heart rate is and like, hey, it's Brian's birthday in 300 days or whatever, like all this stuff starts popping up like while I'm looking at you. Like, how am I supposed to string together a sentence?
Everybody's life just looks like the Terminator.
It's just horrible.
Target acquired.
yeah. I would probably
Target
never pay
acquired.
attention to anything again.
Right.
I think my homing signals would just start like every time I come by a pizza shop, my trajectory would have to like change.
It would
and
be
it wouldn't
good.
even be in my control.
It would be good for dating apps. Like if you're at a bar and you like knew who was potentially available, maybe that would reduce your chances of embarrassing yourself.
Just
by-
make sure you silence the notifications. Attractive female.
your like goggles start like
Steaming up. Anyways, welcome back to Abby in the chat. He's been away from YouTube for a minute. Good to have you back. Good to see you. Question from Abby: what would be the real use of AR, VR in the future? And I mean, we're just kind of talking
riffing
about
on
that
it, yeah.
a little bit.
Mostly, I mean,
specifically, what's the current status of Daydream?
like Daydream is
That's
is,
VR though, isn't it?
No, that's.
You said AR, VR.
Okay.
Wait a minute, is Daydream?
Daydream is
VR?
Google Pixel's VR. Like, set that
Right,
they
their
give.
like headset. I mean, like it's out, it's available, it's being utilized. I think mostly from VR's perspective, what I've seen is it's mostly used for gaming. I mean, like PlayStation VR has seen some good success recently. With AR, there are some commerce applications, but beyond that, I don't think that they've really found the killer feature quite yet for using AR.
It's cool.
It is
That's
cool.
the feature.
Yeah. But is it like needed? Like, do you have to use it for something?
I mean, I think it's convenient. You don't have to use your camera for anything.
No,
Your camera is not needed.
Try to convince that to half the population.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, camera is like super useful for stuff.
Yeah, well, okay, but like when you're saying in the terms of like needed,
Yeah.
like do you need to take the photo of like that meal that you're eating? No.
Yes.
Like is it gonna change the
Absolutely do.
world? No, but
Okay, hold on. Yes, the photo of my meal will change the world. These are really good eggs Benedict.
Alex Mitchell, will 5G have an effect on AR? Not exactly sure
Oh,
how
you
that would
know
come
what?
to play.
I mean it definitely will. Just there's a lot of like potential, like even with VR and on Netflix, just like watching stuff like can sometimes take a while to load. The idea with like 5G making it like you're connected to extremely fast internet all the time definitely makes AR much more accessible.
Yeah. I mean, I wish Roger Cheng were here because he's our 5G expert.
I think the idea of like being able to like stream in like 5G would probably be like the big like stream like AR in like 5G where you could watch like us like in your living room or something like that. Like I think on a 4G or LTE connection that would probably like take forever because that's a lot of data.
Yeah, arguably the resolution would be much better. You'd be able to do a lot more stuff. I think that's probably like that's a good take. Yep. I would say.
Moving on to phones, Watson, do you think that the iPhone 10 will hold its price for longer, more than other phones in the prior years, since Apple tends to drop about 40% in price every year to year? That's a good question. Being that it's so premium that it's platinum, I don't know, what the hell do you even call this phone?
So in general, Apple devices tend to hold their value much more than literally any other device out there. Second tier is Samsung. So the iPhone 10, because it's the first one, and if it's kept in good condition, yeah, the possibility, there's a good chance that it is going to retain its value a little bit better than previous models. It's also, just a really nice phone, and therefore, if you're going to look to like sell it or trade it in next year, it's still like pretty high spec. So
yeah.
But that being said, like a lot of those resale markets are connected to historic sales.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to drop their prices on it anytime soon, though. But like, do you think that it'll get cheaper when the 10
out a month
when the 10.2 or the 11 or whatever the hell they want to call it? Like, do you think that it'll drop prices when that?
Usually they only drop it by about $100, so
Yeah.
it's going to go from like $9.99 to $8.99. The used market, it's hard to say. I mean, like it's going to retain its resale value much better than other phones, but I don't think that it's so far and away different than other Apples that it's going to be a cosmic improvement in resale value.
Yeah.
That's my best guess on that.
One more on phones before we move on to other topics. Tammy Thompson, will they be refreshing the iPhone SE? It's a great phone, low-cost option for the entry level. And you talked about perhaps them continuing with multiple tiers, 3 models in 2018.
For the iPhone 10, yeah.
Do we think that the SE will become part of a legacy line?
There had been rumored reports that they were going to launch an SE2 in June or July or so. We had written it off of, I think it was 9 to 5 Mac that had it, or somebody else.
I don't know.
Somebody out there had it. We have the story on CNET's website also, but as it stands currently, it's still very much rumors.
Yeah.
But I do agree with Tammy's point. Was it Tammy that said that?
Yes,
Yeah.
Tammy.
Yes, I do agree with Tammy's points. I am a big fan of the SE, and I've actually been holding on to my like 5S until the SE2 comes out. So I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of rumors, real quick, before we do move on beyond phones, Svet asks, are the rumors for an iPhone XC with a plastic back for iDrop News true, or are they also just rumors?
I mean, they're all just rumors
Yeah.
at this point, and putting a plastic back on an iPhone 10, I think sounds
Like a bad idea.
like, first of all, you're going to lose wireless charging. I think it needs the glass back
Yeah,
to
it does.
have
Correct.
wireless charging. Also, I don't know how much cheaper it would actually be if all you're doing is adding plastic to the back.
That and I don't see the C series making a comeback. I think that was kind of a big flop for Apple.
It was a bit of a dud. I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah. So I would argue do not expect that one.
Do we think they're going to go with more unique colors at the very least? Because that was the whole thing about the C, was it was
I
just,
think-
ooh.
Maybe.
I think
Gummy
they're
bear colors.
probably going to have a red line somewhere down the line. I don't know.
Yeah,
how many,
that'll continue, I think,
I
the
don't know
charity
how many
line.
colors there's going to be for the X because of like the glass back.
It's I don't know how much people really buy the phones depending on the colors or not. Usually you're going to put them in
Yeah,
a
you put a
case,
case
one way or
over it
another.
anyway.
I don't think it's going to substantially increase their
People
sales. if they-
definitely care about the color though.
Yeah. I mean, like Google has been making a much bigger deal about colors. They have like those goofy color names like Simply Blue,
Really black.
Purpley Purple.
Rose gold.
No, that's not Google.
good
Google
one.
doesn't do that. That's
No, I know. I'm
he's
taking the
trashing
shot
Apple.
back.
Yeah, Samsung. No, they apparently
Rose
Google,
gold is the gaudiest thing I've
Lin-
ever seen.
Lynn
I have
Law
a rose
had
gold
written a
one.
story about like how they made the Google Pixel, and they talked about how they purposely gave it those goofy names to make fun of stuff like cobalt blue and like rose gold and stuff.
All right, fair enough. I guess I didn't get the joke then. So
Imagine Saigi's asking what happened to the red. Now, they just did a red
Yeah, this was
about a
the-
year and
this
a
was the
half
first
ago
time that they had done
with the
red for a phone.
7?
Yeah.
Right, because I still have a red iPod Nano somewhere.
Yeah. They had done it for their iPods. They'd done it for their watches, but they've never done it for a phone until the 7.
Right. I wonder if they'll skip the 10 being that it's its own big mega anniversary and like wait for the next line to maybe bring the red back. I think it'll come back in the phone mode.
Yeah.
In POG form. Real quick, we're almost out of time. Watson, will Apple finally make a tablet laptop in Fusion like the Surface Pro and allow a Mac that could have a removable screen? That would sell like hotcakes, surely.
I mean,
good
that's what they
question.
Call
call
me Shirley.
That's what they call the iPad Pro. If we're gonna look at that,
True.
like the iPad Pro is their like answer to the Surface, and it does have a lot of like more capabilities than.
But it's still a
iPad
tablet
would.
before it's a notebook, as opposed to a
Yeah.
notebook
Agreed.
that converts into a tablet.
Yeah. I mean, are you saying more like a Surface Book, like that little thing that like goes off the keyboard and all that stuff?
Right.
I mean, if you look at like one of Apple's like latest commercials that they had for the iPad Pro, where it was like, what is a computer? And they show like a bunch of iPad Pro stuff, and they show it side by side with like what computers. And it was like it does like the same thing. So, I mean, that's Apple's argument. I'm not here to defend them. But yeah, their whole argument is like we're not going to come out with an answer again to the Surface because we already have it. It's called the iPad Pro.
Whatever. I think that from a certain position, a lot of like longtime Apple people are confused that there have been a lot of trends in the laptop world that Apple, for one reason or another, has decided against going after. And the 2-in-1s, you see that with Windows laptops for a really long time, that there's been a lot of experimentation and different form factors, and Apple just hasn't done it. Like, they introduced the Touch Bar, and there are plenty of people that argue against it and think that it's not actually that useful. So
Yeah, Steve Shanklin hates it.
yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
Well, Chris Osborne is curious about perhaps getting something with a full touchscreen laptop that actually still runs OS X, though. Something with a little more power under the hood.
Yeah.
It would be easy enough for them to do that, and I agree with Alfred that if you're really, really into Apple and really, really want a touchscreen laptop, there is the option, at the very least, of getting an iPad Pro. The problem is like just doing very simple things like improving the MacBook Air, adding a Retina display, making it a little less, old looking, and just making a handful of small improvements like a touchscreen. They're not doing that, and I don't know that they are.
I think Ricky in the chat's got it all figured out. Why would they want to make a 2-in-1 when they can just sell you both?
There you go.
And before we let go, last question. We're going to take a topic we've kind of forgotten about over time. Stellar Tech. Is Apple currently in development for an electric car or anything else related to automotive? Now, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, they kicked the tire on it.
They kicked the tires on it. Yeah. So apparently they did a bunch of hiring for this more than a year ago, I believe, and abandoned the project. I think this was entirely rumored. Apple never actually came out and said what they were planning on doing, but the rumor was that they were developing a car, like a straight up car, not just software for a car. And I think that they realized that it was going to be too costly, too complicated. And it would be much better to just pair their own software into existing car manufacturers.
Speaking of them rumors and them buying stuff, though, like weren't there rumors last week that they had bought Shazam?
Yeah.
Or
I
like
thought that
in
was
talks to buy
substantiated.
Shazam?
Was that not substantiated?
I was off on Friday, and I haven't been following. I saw the headline, and that was about it.
I did see those stories, and I'm actually not sure what.
I mean, I'm
came of
sure
it.
that would probably be for their HomePod to like figure out what songs they're playing and all that junk. Also, probably just for Siri.
That
Yeah,
would be smart
so-
to work into a smart home speaker like that. Would be
Okay.
the right place to do it.
I'm looking at a TechCrunch headline from less than an hour ago. Apple to confirm Shazam acquisition today. So look for that. Apparently, it's several $100 million.
Yeah, and
Go
that
figure.
would
sounds like a lot.
that would directly compete with what Google has currently on their Google Home speakers. With I don't know what they're using for theirs. It's definitely not Shazam, but like it's the whole. Hey, what song is this playing? And it tells you what it is.
Yeah, the Echo does a version of that where if you
That's because the Echo is pulling from their own database.
yeah, if you like sing back like lyrics, if you just say a bunch of lyrics, like it will tell you what song it is. So all of these guys are getting better at that. Just
Yep.
because all it is like pairing a database or a library to little bits of information. You
I'd just be interested to see what the specific value of Shazam would be to Apple, being the iTunes itself is a robust library and they do carry liner notes and their own lyric pages. I just wonder if they're looking for better vocal recognition out of the Shazam technology.
Yeah, that's a good guess actually, to try to figure out what it is that they would do with it.
And that's a good place to put our little thinking caps off
Yeah.
for a minute, and maybe we'll revisit that later this week. But we are out of time. Ben, you want to bring us home?
Okay, I'll try anyway. Okay, the 359 podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, the Amazon Echo, and of course,
CNET.com.
CNET.com. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see you for the rest of the week, and then we'll figure something out for the grander picture of the future.
have a happy New Year and a happy
Yeah,
New Year
all
in
that
2018. Blah blah blah.
Apple in 2018.
Cool.
Google in 2018. Everyone in 2018. We'll see you.
Shut up. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye, everybody.